EQ can often seem like a mystery, but it doesn't need to be. A lot of problems with an audio mix can be handled by a judicious use of equalization. As seen in the previous lesson, Final Cut Pro 10 includes a graphic equalizer as part of the standard audio enhancement section for each audio clip. Open the O3 Working with EQ project. Select the Ha clip.
Ha! Two guys coming over, that's right, I totally forgot.
And expand the audio enhancements section if necessary. Notice, by the way, that we've substituted the distorted ha sound with an alternate take. Click the equalization button in the audio inspector to bring up its HUD. For the built-in equalizer, you can choose between a 10-band or a 31-band equalizer. We'll focus on the 10-band for now. In a graphic equalizer, each slider represents a group of frequencies in an audio signal. Think of frequency as pitch. Low notes on a piano keyboard are low frequency in nature, high notes are high frequency. It's a little more complex than that. The richness of a piano note is because there are many different frequencies interacting together to produce the sound. That's why a piano sounds different to a guitar playing the same note. A sound like a human voice involves sound waves all over the frequency spectrum. There can be deep bass frequencies that carry presence, and high-frequency sounds that add crispness to the dialogue, like the hiss of an S sound. Your job as an editor is to bring out the best characteristics of a sound for a given mix. Let's take a look at our example. With the clip selected, press / to play from in to out.
Ha! Two guys coming over, that's right, I totally forgot.
You may notice that there's some excessive room resonance that creates an unpleasant boom to the dialogue. Of course, you want to be listening to the audio with a decent pair of studio monitor speakers to make reasonable judgments about EQ. Here's an easy way to identify which frequencies are causing the problem. Adjust up each band in turn and see which one exaggerates the problem. The boom seems to be in the low or middle frequencies, so we'll adjust up each band in turn, starting with 128.
Two guys coming over, that's right, I totally forgot. Hey,
Press / whenever you need to restart the audio. Adjusting up the 256 Hz band, we can hear the unpleasant resonance dramatically increase.
Two guys coming over, that's right, I totally... Two guys
We discover more problems around 1 kHz and even more at 2 kHz.
Two guys coming over, that's right, I totally forgot. Hey, I'm Tracy.
To solve the problem, we could now drag that slider down below the 0 dB line to remove the volume of sounds at those frequencies. The only problem is, with a 10-band equalizer, we'll probably remove nearby sounds that we want to keep. The result will be a removal of some of the warmth from the voice. Let's take a listen.
Ha! Two guys coming over, that's right, I totally forgot. Hey, I'm Tracy.
One option would be to switch to the 31-band graphic instead, but there's actually a better solution. We use what's called a parametric equalizer instead. Click Flatten EQ to remove the changes you've made. Where a graphic equalizer has fixed bands of frequencies to adjust, a parametric equalizer allows you to choose any frequency you'd like to control. Let's take a look. Go to the Effects browser and select the EQ audio category. Double-click Channel EQ and you'll see it show up in the inspector. Click its button to open its HUD. At the bottom of the window are 8 separate frequency adjusters. Only the middle 6 are active by default. These are like the different bands of a graphic equalizer, but instead of being permanently set to a specific frequency, any one of these controls can be set to any frequency you choose. Now, we determined earlier that the unwanted room resonance in our clip was around 256 Hz, and there were further issues around 1 or 2 kHz. Drag up the graph around 256 and you'll see a waveform build centered around that frequency.
Two guys coming over, that's right, I totally forgot.
You can change the frequency by selecting the middle of the waveform and dragging left and right.
Two guys coming over, that's right, I totally forgot.
Drag the waveform left and right as you play by pressing / and you'll hear the frequency boost sweep from low frequencies to high frequencies.
I totally forgot. Hey, I'm Tracy.
You'll also see which control you're affecting as you drag. It's highlighted at the bottom of the window. As you can see by the wide curve, while we're focused around the offending frequency, we're actually boosting other frequencies up and down the frequency spectrum. It's just that the effect of the boost reduces the further we get away from that center. But we can actually choose how quickly the boost falls off. Move your pointer over the top of the waveform and you'll see a small point there and a small Q appear to the right of your pointer. As you drag up and down on this point, you're actually adjusting what's in fact called the Q of the parameter, basically the fall-off around the EQ point. Set this to a narrow band and sweep the wave again.
Two guys coming over, that's right.
You'll find that around 250, the resonance is particularly pronounced. And again, we have the issue between 1 and 2 kilohertz.
Two guys coming over, that's right. I totally forgot. Hey, I'm Tracy. Two guys coming over, that's right. I totally forgot. Hey, I'm Tracy.
Now we can reduce the frequency by positioning the pointer in the middle of the wave and dragging downward, keeping the waveform centered at around 230 to 250. We'll cut the sound by about 10 decibels by looking at the numbered gradations to the left. By adjusting the Q, you can decide how much neighboring frequency gets cut out.
Two guys coming over, that's right. I totally forgot. Hey, I'm Tracy.
Enable and disable the channel EQ in the inspector to compare before and after the frequency cut.
Two guys coming over, that's right. I totally forgot. Hey, I'm Tracy. Two guys coming over, that's right. I totally forgot.
Let's repeat the process for the 1 to 2 kilohertz problem.
Two guys coming over, that's right. I totally forgot. Hey, I'm Tracy.
As you can see, with a parametric equalizer, you can get very precise control over where you boost or cut and how much gets affected. And that's why sound engineers tend to prefer parametric equalizers for precise adjustment of EQ. That's not to say that graphic equalizers aren't useful. They're a great way to make quick tweaks.
Two guys coming over, that's right. I totally forgot. Hey.
Let's make a few more adjustments to the sound here. The human voice really doesn't contain many significant frequencies below 80 Hz. Any sounds hiding here are most likely ambient hums, wind noise, or bumps to a boom mic. Things that don't add to the sound we're going for, but might start to muddy the mix-up. Select the far left EQ button at top to activate the far left EQ control. This is a special kind of control, usually called a shelf. Instead of the effect falling off either side of the control point, with a shelf, everything either before or after the point is affected. This is a base shelf, so everything to the left of it is affected. Move the control to around 80 Hz. When you play back, you most likely won't hear any effect to the tone of the voice, but on full range monitor speakers, you may notice a reduction in unrelated low frequency sounds, typical of things like mechanical boom mic vibrations.
Two guys coming over, that's right. I totally forgot. Hey, I'm Tracy.
At this stage, you can try adding a little more warmth by boosting some more of the low frequencies of the voice. Obviously, every voice and mic placement will require specific adjustments. One big caveat before we wrap, be careful not to EQ in isolation. If you plan on having music playing underneath dialogue, even in the background, you should make your EQ decisions with the music included in the sound you're previewing. If you don't, you may produce some really nicely EQ'd dialogue that still sounds boomy or worse, is lost in the midst of the music soundtrack. Go ahead and try working with some of the other vocals, like Duncan's dialogue in the Likewise clip. Don't worry about the clipping you're seeing in the waveforms. We'll fix those in the next lesson on compression.